Chapter 15 of John Smith's Funny Adventure on a Crutch, or The Remarkable Peregrinations of a One-Legged Soldier After the War. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. John Smith's Funny Adventure on a Crutch, or The Remarkable Peregrinations of a One-Legged Soldier After the War, by A.F. Hill. Chapter 15. John at Saratoga. We reached Albany at 5 o'clock, and I stepped ashore and walked carelessly up the street, trying to look as though I had been there before. I don't think I succeeded. It is the most difficult thing in the world to step off a boat or train in a strange city and not fancy that at least half the assembled spectators are looking at you and saying, "There's a fella who never was here before, that's clear." I went up to a hotel, gave my check to the porter, and told him to bring my baggage from the boat. I have hereforth forborne to give the names of hotels because it might look like surreptitious advertising, and John Smith is above that sort of thing. But it might be urged, why not mention the names of good hotels, that travelers who read this work may know where to stay when they visit such cities as I mention? One reason is, this is no traveler's guide, and another is that a hotel that was comfortable and well conducted 2 or 3 years ago may have changed proprietors and become quite the reverse by this time. I have seen this demonstrated myself, as I may have occasion to mention in the course of this work. I remained at Albany a week, during which time I visited the penitentiary, only as a visitor, remember, and other places of interest. I also visited Troy, 6 miles above on the east side of the river, and some of its manufactories. At a nail and horseshoe factory, I saw the largest wheel in this country. It is a monstrous water wheel, which runs the machinery of the whole establishment. I was told that its diameter was 74 feet. It was in operation while I was there. It revolved rather slowly and looked like the world turning around on a cloudy day. At Troy, I also saw a Trojan horse, though not the one Homer tells about. Before going westward, I paid a visit to Saratoga Springs, the great fashionable summer resort, which is about 30 miles from Albany. Do not infer that I went there to spend the fashionable season. I am above such a place as that. So is anyone that hasn't too much money. It is there that glittering wealth and giddy fashion congregate during the hot weather, and that merchants from New York and other cities go to gamble away in a week, sometimes in a single night, all they have made in a year. Faro prevails there to an alarming extent. So do poker, roulette, billiards, ninepins, and horse racing. I stood by a faro table for an hour, and the amount of cash I saw change hands in that time was something frightful. Thousands seemed but a trifle at the board. I saw one gentleman looking on with idle interest, while others were betting, losing, and winning. And I said to myself, that fellow is going to try his luck. I can tell by the way he looks. And he did try it. "I'll put that V on the ace," said he, laying down a $5 greenback. It lost. "Pshaw!" said he, to which nobody paid any attention. The betting went on, and presently my man tried it again. "Here's an X on that ace." And he put an X on the ace. It lost. "Confound it!" he exclaimed vexatiously. "Here's 25 for the deuce." He put 2 X's and a V on the deuce. The ace won this time, and the deuce lost. And he lost, and he was now $40 out. "Give me some checks," said he, handing $100 bill to the banker. He was evidently going into it more extensively. The banker quietly took his $100, counted him out some ivory checks used to represent cash in the game. The betting went on. He laid down $5 worth of checks on the ace and won. He laid down another $5 and lost. He laid 20 on and lost. He laid 20 more on and lost. "Confound that unlucky ace," said he. "I will not try it again." So he tried betting on 2 others at once. He laid 5 on the 7 and 30 on the 8. The 7 won, and the 8 lost. He won 5 and lost 30. "Blast that luck," said he. "Here are the rest of the checks on the ace. I'll try my luck on it again." And he placed the remainder of his $100 worth of checks on the ace, and lost. He then abruptly mentioned the vulgar name of a place that is also called Hades and Erebus, and wished ugly wishes on himself if he'd bet any more. But he soon thought he would like to try it again, just once. He resolved to risk one bet of $100, and if that should lose, he wouldn't try it again. "Let me see," said he. "I'll put it on the ace. No, I won't. The ace is unlucky for me. I'll put it on the 7. That won for me once." He put it on the 7 and lost. If he had put it on the ace that time, he would have won. He then used profane language and spoke very disrespectfully of the cards in general and of the 7 spot in particular. Then he left the room. Presently he returned with a roll of bills in his hand, a $1,000 one being placed conspicuously on the outside, as a kind of index, to show what was within. He handed a $1,000 bill to the banker and said, "Change that." The banker changed it. He then laid down $500 on the ace and lost. He laid 500 more on it and lost. He took another $1,000 bill from the roll, laid it down, and lost. He laid down another and won. "Good luck at last," said he. "I believe that ace will win again. It will be sure to. It has won so little of late." So he put $3,000 on it. Others followed his example, and $2,000 more were laid on the ace. All who sat at the table now or stood by looked for the issue with much interest. It lost. This most unfortunate of gamblers made a slight movement of the hand as though to place his remaining cash in his pocket and quit. But he hesitated a moment, then placed the whole pile on the ace. "There," said he, "are $7,000. Yes, 7,000. The ace lost that time. The unfortunate man, who had now lost about $10,000, articulated a number of bad words, and, turning away, left the room with as sad-looking a face as I ever saw under a hat. No one paid any attention to him. The game went on, and he was soon forgotten. Of course, others were betting, winning, and losing all this time, for there were a score around the table, and it would be no exaggeration to say that at least $100,000 changed hands while I was standing there. I have merely mentioned this one gentleman in particular because his case was perhaps the saddest of any that came under my notice, and made the greatest impression on my mind. Whether he returned with any more cash, or whether he could raise any more, I do not know, as I soon after left the room and returned to Albany. But if he was able to raise any more spalundics, there is little doubt that he tried it again that evening, for the more bitter lessons of this kind of man learns, the more they don't do him any good. "I will try it again till I at least win back what I have lost," is his plea. If he has been fortunate and won, he will say, "I've seemed to be pretty lucky. It's worth trying again." He does, and often finds it is worth trying again. To the banker, win or lose, a gambler will be a gambler. End of chapter 15. Read by Joe McVeary, Raleigh, North Carolina, February 29th, 2024.